I'm Sam, MD, founder at So.Social Media. As I mentioned earlier, we're a social media agency, and the whole purpose behind what we do is having created sort of a no-brainer approach for the majority of businesses to outsource their socials. The social media landscape is pretty vast. There are thousands of agencies. There are AI agencies. There are big sort of multi-channel inner city agencies. There are teenagers working out of their grandma's bedroom. There's everything. So the whole purpose of this agency is, if we talk about the triangle of death, which the business coach in the room will probably understand, Phil, which is touching on price, time, and quality, and knowing full well that no single business can touch on all 3 points at once, or they will go bust. We are very, very time focused. We are very, very cost focused. Yes, of course, we focus entirely. We focus a great deal on the quality of what we do. We have to. It's being seen by millions of people. But time and cost is what this agency operates on, and we're incredibly good at that. So this is me. That's actually me at 26, but I'm not taking that picture down anytime soon. At the top there in the yellow circle, you've got me and my little brother Jake. That's us shooting clays. That's my mum in the black circle there. Getting some flowers on Mother's Day. That's my other half, Luke. And the little tiny yellow one in the bottom corner, that's my dad. He gets a small circle because he buggered off to the other side of the world with a family they didn't tell us about. So he gets a small circle because he doesn't count as much. So, education-wise, I went to this incredibly fancy establishment, Haberdasher's Monmouth School for Boys, which was lovely. Very much enjoyed myself in that environment. I then moved on to the University of Gloucestershire. This is not my campus. My campus looked like crap, so I thought I'd put this picture up instead because it makes it look a lot nicer. I actually ended up going to the University of Gloucestershire because I moved out very young, 17 when I moved out, and I decided I just wanted to go and live my life. Wanted to just go get a job, be a grown up. And then after a couple of years, just working jobs, renting, etc., I decided I was pretty confident I could hold down a job and go to university at the same time, which I did, and managed to graduate with a first. So well done me. After that, I moved on to the HR director as their online editor. It was a really great publication, immensely dull subject matter. It's human resources. It's, unless you're involved in human resources as a professional, I don't think you'd find it particularly exciting. No offense, Katie. But it was a really good start, and it was a very, very focused publication. So it allowed me to do quite a lot of more of the investigative side of things. Taught me how to interview. Yeah, it was good. I learned a lot there. I then moved on to a role at a small sort of boutique agency called Lime Green. I don't think they exist anymore, but Lime Green was the kind of inspiration behind setting up what I'm doing now, mainly because it wasn't run very well. The concept of what they were able to achieve was great, but it was just not run properly. And there were so many holes in the processes and the way the whole thing was put together that it was just a very infuriating place to be, but quite inspirational when you looked at what it could achieve if it was run properly. I didn't move straight into setting up this agency. I then moved into, I was already working in radio, doing breakfast and news on Sunshine Radio, Herefordshire and Worcestershire. So I stayed there for a couple of years, really enjoyed that, really enjoyed being a voice that everybody recognized within a relative distance from my current location. It was really good fun. Did a lot, met some really interesting, bizarre D-list celebrities. That was cool. I then took on a sales job at Sunshine, which I learned a lot from, but absolutely hated. And it was that sales position that drove me to set the agency up and really focus on being in charge of myself. Back in 2016, it had this horrible, horrible logo, which I thought was absolutely brilliant at the time. And thankfully, it did change to this Rebel Alliance logo, which I've been told many times looks like Star Wars. But it's a good brand. And it was a really interesting starting point for me. There was no capital to start this up at all. So I was working 5 jobs in shops and in hospitality and loads of cash in hand stuff just to get this off the ground, and working sort of 100-hour weeks to make it work. But it was totally worth it because now the agency is freaking awesome. Here's the timeline. So back in 2016, it was me, 5 jobs, 4 clients, and a laptop. And you can see 2023, team of 26 in 2023, and about 560 clients. But if you actually do the maths, 2022 to 23, got a bit janky at that point because, as you can see, we had a hell of a lot of staff and not many more clients. So actually, toward the end of 2022-23, this agency was right on the cusp of going in the bin. And I had some really, really interesting, terrifying, and long conversations with my accountant. And we have managed in the last 6 months to completely turn the whole thing around. And it is now operating at the most profitable and efficient level that it's ever operated at before. And moving forward into 2024-25, this agency is going to be hopefully unstoppable, with an amazing accountancy firm behind us, driving me to do the right things and make the right choices and not make decisions based on emotions, which is what I naturally do. So the agency is award winning. We've got Stacey in the room here, who's responsible for some of the awards we've got up here. We're up for another few this year, which is very exciting. As I say, at the moment, we're supporting about 650 clients around the world. But we do have kind of we don't have a niche. We can't have a niche. But we do tend to enjoy working with trades. We enjoy working with the state agency. We enjoy working with recruitment. Those are the three sort of main pillars that we really enjoy working with. These are the main account executives. It's lots of white women in their 20s. Lots of white women in their 20s love marketing. We've got loads of them. It's great. So on the far left, we've got Molly, then Fiona, Millie, another Molly, Laurie, Jess, Ellen, and Rach. So Rach on the far right there is our HR advisor. Molly on the far left is head of admin, and Ellen, who's next to Rach on the right there in the black dress, she's a senior account executive here, and she is our sort of queen networker. Nobody networks like that girl. She is responsible for bringing in a heck of a lot of value to this agency, just through her amazing ability to talk to people. So what we do, we sit sort of smack bang in between freelancer and full service agency. So we're not as sporadic as a freelancer. We're not as expensive as a full service agency. Our price point starts from £99 a month plus VAT, runs all the way up to £349 a month plus VAT. So you can imagine that those businesses that are coming on at the bottom end, they're spending £3.17 a day on their agency. So from a price perspective, it is very, very difficult to beat this agency. And it's been built that way because it's been built on a white label model. So the majority of the work that we do as an agency is not direct to client. It's as an extension of another agency. So we've got partnerships at present with about 50, I'm going to say 50-ish other agencies around the UK who all outsource their social media work to us. So they buy our packages in at what is essentially a wholesale cost. They resell them onto their clients with a premium on top. And then it's our team that does all the deliverables, all of the communication, all the reporting, all the work. But it means that when we're dealing with direct clients that we sometimes achieve through networking, that they also access the same wholesale prices that we sell into agencies at, which is why it's such a cost-effective model. I've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to run through an example of some results that we've got for a client, Global Canopies. They're a company they set up in October 23, so very, very new company. And at present, they've got a £300 a month spend on domestic canopies and £200 a month on commercial canopies. So essentially what they're selling are things that can be carports, things that can be used to have retractable roofs to put seating under, all that kind of stuff. So the return on investment figures November 23 to Feb 24. As you can see, their total expenditure there is £1,427.29 on their PPC ads. But the real life return on that through conversations with the MD is around £96,000 in invoice business. Now, if you could spend £2,000 and make almost 100 grand, I'm sure you do that. And these guys are reaping the benefits from that. So what we actually did is we set up a lead ad, which was driving people into a lead capture form that existed within Meta. The ad itself, the imagery was based solely on CGI because they hadn't done any work because they were a brand new company. So all of the CGI was the only thing we had access to. So we put together a funky video for them, drove people into a form. Can you guys hear that? Okay, it's playing them all at once, so that's going to be horrible. So we won't do that. So this is the form that we drove them into. Now, we specifically created the form to be a little bit complex to get to the end of, because if you guys have ever done meta ads before, you'll know that you get a lot of shit through meta ads. You get people that fill in forms for the sake of it. You get people whose device just auto-populates with their information. So we made it a bit difficult to get to the end of. This bit here with the slide to submit is quite important. There's a few different points throughout this where it encourages the user to make real life conscious decisions. And that means that they qualify themselves as much as possible as they go through the process. I will leave this screen up because I'm at my 10 minutes. This is our current price point. Yeah, that can be the end for now. Any questions?
Thank you, Sam. I think for me, it's quite nice to see a bit more of your background. Obviously, I know bits and pieces of it, but not as much as you shared today. So it was quite nice to see some of that as well, and sort of understand where So.Social came from.
Yeah, it's always nice to see the story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always nice to see the story. So in terms of your ideal client, people who come to you, is it Facebook kind of meta ads that is your preferred, or LinkedIn, or does it
Not specifically. I mean, we've
non-specific?
yeah, so we're very much a multi-channel agency. So we've got a lot of B2B relationships with clients where we build businesses through LinkedIn ads, community engagement, community building, all of that sort of stuff. We've got quite a few that we work with on TikTok. Obviously, can't be a social media agency in 24 without working on TikTok quite a lot. It's a much more labor-intensive channel, though. It doesn't fit into the typical format that this agency has. I'm not sure where that interference is coming from, so sorry if you can hear a buzzy noise. But for me, I mean, I think I grew I grew up on Facebook, so I love Facebook. I've been on Facebook since 2007, so I it's a space that I've watched grow and develop, and it's something that I know inside and out. So personally, I quite enjoy developing Facebook channels, and I like helping small businesses to get a slice of the pie. That's the whole ethos, is that yes, there are huge companies out there with multi-million pound marketing budgets, and the SMEs have always struggled to find a way to access a slice of that without having to spend a fortune on it. And that was really the whole driving force behind this. My background prior to uni was working in my family business, which was independent retail. So I get the struggles of small businesses better than most people.
Thank you, Sam. Other questions? Stacey's just said, apologies, she's got to duck out, but we knew that already. James, yeah.
Firstly, I think that might have been me doing the interference. So apologies for that. My phone was right anyway. What is the great presentation? Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Molly's just joined our BNI group actually up in Cheltenham.
In Cheltenham, yeah. I thought if you knew Chris, you must be in BNI Cheltenham.
Yeah, she seems like a really nice lady. What is the business that you really want to work with? If you imagine all the business out there and you think social media would absolutely rock that company's perform. Who is there? Is there one that I mean, it could be any business.
It can, but for me, it's those established trade businesses that have been around for 25, 30 years. They've always relied on the slightly old school marketing methods that are really hard to track. So they've done a bit of radio here, they've done a bit of print advertising, they've got a team of sort of 25 to 50 people. It's a good established business, but they're not making the most of what they could achieve through socials. So we know that they've got a tried and tested business model. They've got all the processes, they've got the budget, they just don't have the expertise in the area that they need it. So for me, we've got a few of those as clients, and they're very easy companies to work with, because you're probably not starting from scratch. You've probably got socials that have been in play for about 5 or 6 years, but they've never been used properly. So there's a bit of an audience there, and it's just a really nice place to come in and be able to provide some immediate transformation in terms of the leads that they're bringing in.
It's a transformation rather than just better, cheaper, quicker type thing. It's more
and it's more rewarding to transform something. Yes, the agency is founded based on cost and time, but being able to visibly provide that benefit to a company is a much nicer thing to be able to do.
Good book called The Challenger Sale. If you get a chance to read that book, I will recommend that.
Thank you.
I've got a copy of that on my shelf actually, Jane. All about the little details. Guy who sends a bloke a golf ball, actually, from memory.
Nice.
James, there's a nice story in there about how he managed to convince him to come across. Anyway, thank you very much, Sam.
No worries. Thanks for listening.